Happy Pride Month! Queens Public Library continues its ongoing commitment to promote queer liberation and representation across our borough and beyond. We will be highlighting LGBTQ+ titles, including banned books, sharing knowledge and stories through our programming, and so much more. Everyone is welcome at Queens Public Library, and we are here for you. For more information, visit queenslib.org/pride22. Summer reading kicks off this month. Visit summerreading.queenslibrary.org for our full summer reading program schedule, book lists for all ages, and other resources to keep your kids engaged and learning all summer long. Juneteenth celebrates the end of slavery in the United States. Check out our reading lists and join us for in-person and virtual programs to learn more about this important day in U.S. history. Visit our website for more information. The best way to fight book banning is to read banned books. We are joining forces with Brooklyn Public Library and the New York Public Library to take a stand against censorship with the NYC Banned Books Challenge. 10 banned or challenged books that expert librarians recommend New Yorkers borrow and read. Visit our website to learn more.
Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. I'm Christopher Galarza, Queens Public Library's Community Health Educator. Today, we welcome back Dr. Naika, who is a trailblazing naturopathic practitioner, acupuncturist, and herbalist based in New York City. Dr. Naika received her bachelor's degree in cultural anthropology from Brown University and both her master's of acupuncture and doctor of naturopathic medicine degrees from Boston University. Dr. Naika runs a private practice where she offers mindfulness-based, whole person-centered, culturally sensitive, and approachable integrative healthcare. Dr. Naika's acupuncture, nutrition, lifestyle coaching, supplement therapy, and herbal medicine. Passionate about community health and education, Dr. Naika regularly facilitates immersive workshops, group healing experiences, and corporate wellness activations all around the world. Please welcome Dr. Naika.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Christopher. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to the Queens Public Library for having me. I'm excited to talk to you all again. If this is your first time doing a workshop with me, welcome. And if you've been able to come to the other workshops, welcome back. So here is an overview of Wellness Wednesdays. So in the first workshop, we kind of set the foundation for holistic health. What is holistic health? How do you live holistically? What are the foundations of health? And how can you, engage them in practical, actionable ways? So we talked about stress and sleep support, digestion, immunity, and whatnot. So with this workshop, we're going to focus on DIY herbal recipes. So these are recipes that are so easy to make. They taste so good, and they are a way to make herbal medicine a lot more approachable. Sometimes I think herbal medicine could feel really intimidating for people, and it doesn't have to be that way. It could be so easy, and it's a great way to take care of yourself. So I'm going to share 9 of my favorite herbal medicine superfood recipes with you all. And I'm going to be engaging with you, via questions throughout, but we'll have a formal Q&A section at the end. So if anything comes to mind and you want to ask me very specific questions, definitely make note of them. And then at the end of the workshop, I will answer as many as I can. So let's get started. The first recipe I want to talk about today is naturopathic fire cider. You may or may not have heard of this before, but it is a naturopathic classic. It was first started by master herbalist Rosemary Gladstar back in the 1970s. And fire cider technically falls under the classification of an oxymiel, which is a fancy way of saying honey and vinegar. So a recipe that combines honey and vinegar is an oxymiel. So for this recipe, you're going to need diced ginger root, yellow onion, and garlic cloves, which you probably already have in your kitchen, as well as some cayenne pepper, some apple cider vinegar, honey, and then a storage jar. I really like to use a mason jar. What you're going to do, it's so easy. You're going to chop up all of the ingredients. You're going to layer them in the mason jar, and then you're going to add apple cider vinegar on top of it. And then you're going to seal the jar away and store it out of direct sunlight for 2 to 4 weeks, just to give the herbs enough time to soak up all of the goodness. And then you're going to shake the herbs daily. You're going to shake the jar daily. And this serves two purposes. On one hand, a more scientific perspective is to make sure that you're breaking up all of the yummy, healing nutrients that are stored in the plants. And then from a more energetic perspective, one of my herbal medicine teachers always said that when, your herbal medicine preparation is soaking up all of the medicine, you want to make sure to shake all of your love, good energy, and good intentions into the mix, because ultimately this is something that you're going to be ingesting or your loved ones are going to be ingesting. So you want it to be filled with good vibes. So I always like that. Next, after those 2 to 4 weeks, you're going to strain the vinegar and you're going to discard the solids. I'm a big fan of composting, so I always recommend composting. And then you're going to stir in the honey until the honey is fully dissolved and well incorporated. The wonderful thing about fire cider is it lasts for such a long time. If you store it at room temperature, it could last for about 6 months. But if you want it to last even longer, then you'll store it in the fridge. What's it good for? All of the amazing basics that we need. So prevention, immune support, digestive support, and flavor. If you like the taste of the ingredients, I think you'll really like this flavor. So how to take it? I really like garnishing it on my food, especially salads. It makes an amazing dressing, especially if you want to combine it with balsamic vinegar. Or if you're feeling very ambitious, you could garnish, you could take 1 tablespoon just directly to the tongue. You may want to do it before you brush your teeth because your breath might be a little stinky, but that is a perfectly reasonable way to take this. And when to take it, you could take it anytime you want. So let's talk a little bit more about each of the ingredients. So ginger, onion, and garlic, we're so used to cooking with them, but you may not know that they are so fantastic for immune support. Either taken alone or all together, they're fantastic. And then the cayenne pepper is what puts the fire in fire cider. So it provides an amazing heat to the mix. And then apple cider vinegar is phenomenal for aiding in digestion. And then honey is really good for immunity. My general tip for honey that I want to state now, and it'll apply to the rest of the workshop, is that you want to be careful with honey for kids under the age of 2, just because of certain compounds that are in honey. So in case you want to be on the safe side, instead of using honey, you could use something like maple syrup or agave. That's always a perfectly, phenomenal substitution. But honey in and of itself is phenomenal for immune support. I also want to share that with this fire cider, you could get very creative. The sky's the limit. Use your imagination. Some people like to put in horseradish for a bit of a bite and a kick and to help open up the sinuses. Some people like to put turmeric for some extra flavor, some extra color. And turmeric is also an incredible anti-inflammatory that we're going to talk about some more later. Instead of cayenne pepper powder, you could use actual peppers and any peppers that you like. Some people might use a jalapeno, for example, whatever works for you. And then you could use different herbs like rosemary, which is very good for heart health and for brain health and circulation. Or you could use thyme, which is also phenomenal, more of a respiratory herb, but also has great digestive function. And then some people like to put citrus in it as well. I've tried it with lemon before and it's delicious. So really want to emphasize that you could make this recipe and all recipes your own. You could customize it to the flavors that you like and the flavors of, your family and your loved ones. So fantastic recipe to start with. So my question to you is, would you try naturopathic fire cider? Do you think it's something that you would like? And if so, how would you use it? So feel free to drop a comment. The next recipe is an herbal immune shot. You do not have to go to the fancy health stores to get your immune shots. You could make it at home, and it is so incredibly easy. I wanted to keep things really simple here by using powders. They're cheaper, they're a bit more accessible, but you're also welcome to, use the raw whole food. So using, ginger root or turmeric root. I just personally find that it's easier to use the powder. So for this, you're going to need ginger powder, turmeric powder, some honey again, some lemon, some hot water, and then optional is pineapple juice. And I'll talk about why I recommend putting pineapple juice in here. So all you're going to do is combine all of the ingredients into a cup or a shot glass, because this is an herbal immune shot that we're talking about. And then you could use a hand frother, which I'm a big fan of, or you could use a blender if you don't have a hand frother. And what you're going to do is put all of the ingredients into the blender and make sure that the ingredients are blended thoroughly and evenly. And if taste is an issue, you could add in a splash of pineapple juice. Pineapple juice is not random. It's not just for taste. It's also because pineapple has a compound in it called bromelain. Bromelain is really helpful for digestive health, and it helps turmeric absorb better in the body. And then while I was preparing for these slides, I actually came across a very interesting 2020 study on the combination of bromelain and curcumin, which is the most active part of turmeric, and how the two together combine really nicely to support immune health. So I thought that was super interesting. So what is this good for? Fantastic for immune support, again, really helpful for digestion, very, very helpful for inflammation. And this is due to both the ginger and the turmeric, but even more so the turmeric because of the curcumin. And then it's also going to help you with energy. So how to take this? You're welcome to sip on it, but personally, I prefer to take it like a shot. Just get it one and done, get it over with. And I personally prepare to take it in the morning because it does feel a little bit more energizing for me personally. So that's what I would recommend. So a step-by-step review of each of the ingredients. So ginger, again, amazing for immune support and digestion. Honey, amazing for immune support. Turmeric is the master anti-inflammatory, thanks to a compound called curcumin. So studies have shown that turmeric is extremely beneficial for conditions like arthritis, high cholesterol, for all types of liver support, cancer support, and so much more. I could literally do a talk on turmeric. It's that phenomenal. The lemon is to provide the body with vitamin C, which is a master antioxidant, and it's super helpful for immune support. And so my question to you is, would you prefer to take this as a shot, just get it one and done, or as a tea? Because both options are perfectly fine. So that is the herbal immune shot. The next recipe is elderberry syrup. Just want to give you a heads up that this is going to be a huge part of today's discussion, because this syrup can essentially be used in so many different forms. It could be used for taste. You could take it, straight on the tongue. You could put it in a tea, in a smoothie, in an herbal mocktail, which I'm going to talk about later. It's something that I recommend that everybody just always has in their home because it's that amazing. And so before we dive deeper into it, I'm curious, have you had elderberry syrup before? It's something that's so common in health food stores and grocery stores. So I'm curious if anyone here has ever purchased it or made it before. So here is what you'll need for an elderberry syrup. You'll need 2 cups of dried organic elderberries. You could get this online. 4 cups of cold distilled water. 3 tablespoons of organic dried ginger root. 1 organic cinnamon stick, some raw local honey, or if you want to be on the safe side, especially if kids are going to take this, then you could do maple syrup or agave. And then if you want to have extra long shelf life, you could add in some vodka or brandy to stabilize the product. So what you'll do, you're going to combine all of the herbs in a pot, add some water, bring it to a boil, because the heat is what's going to, break open the herbs to release all of the amazing healing constituents that we want. Then you're going to reduce the heat and allow the herbs to simmer for about 30 to 40 minutes. Then you're going to remove the herbs from the heat and steep for an hour. In general, the longer the better, because it gives the herbs time to release their healing constituents. But you'll just want to keep an eye on the pot to make sure that there's enough liquid, because the heat will start to burn off the liquid. Once you're done soaking all of the herbs, you're going to strain the berries and the herbs using a funnel ideally. And just to be on the safe side, you want to layer the funnel with cheesecloth or muslin, which you could also find online. That's going to support the straining process. And then once you're done straining, you're going to discard the used herbs in compost again. And then you want to give the liquid a little bit of time to cool. And then you're going to add the honey or your sweetener of choice and stir so it could evenly incorporate into the mixture. And then if you decide to use vodka or brandy to increase the shelf life, this is where you would add it. So you don't want to cook with the alcohol. You want to add the alcohol at the end. So stir, stir, stir until it's well combined. And then you're going to bottle in a sterilized glass and store it in the refrigerator. And it could last you such a long time. So what is this good for? This is great for immune support and for people of all ages, though I will say kids absolutely love this formula because it is so, so, so tasty. So very good. How to take elderberry syrup. Ideally, you'll take a tablespoon every day. Personally, I take it throughout the whole year, but a lot of people like to take it in the fall and winter. I actually tend to talk about elderberry syrup more in the colder months, but it is perfectly, fantastic for the warmer months as well, especially because it mixes so well with other beverages. So when to take this, you can take this absolutely anytime. I personally prefer to take my supplements and my herbal medicine either in the morning or the evening, just because it's easier for me to remember, but whatever works for you is perfect. So let's dive deeper into the ingredients. Elderberry is an icon. It's a legend. It's an amazing antioxidant and nutrient-rich berry that essentially helps us to maintain a healthy immune system. It's super, super tasty again. And then the ginger root, as we spoke about already, is for immune health. I want to focus here on the dried ginger root, and that's because fresh ginger root will have water in it, which will affect the shelf life of the product. So ideally, you'll get some dried ginger just to support this lasting for as long as possible. And then cinnamon. Cinnamon doesn't get enough credit. It's an amazing carminative. That's what we call it in herbal medicine. That just means that it's really good at relieving gas and bloating. So that's super helpful. And it is also antimicrobial. So it helps us fight, viruses and bacteria, etc. And then one thing that you might not know about cinnamon is that it also helps us lower our blood sugar. So it's a really, really beautiful spice. Just like the fire cider that I talked about, you could make elderberry syrup your own. You could get as creative with it as you'd like. Personally, I like to add in all types of things in it. And actually this picture in the slide, that's from my elderberry syrup that I made and posted on my Instagram. You'll see that I added something called reishi mushroom, which is an amazing adaptogenic herb that helps with endurance and stress management. I have the ginger in there and the cinnamon in there, but I also added some rose hips, mostly because it's pretty, but also because of the vitamin C content. So that means it's very rich in antioxidants. And then I also wanted to give it an extra kick with orange peel. So again, you could make this as fancy, and flavorful as you'd like. But if you are maybe starting for the first time, you want to, do something kind of simple and safe, then just stick to this recipe. You'll get all of the healing benefits of the elderberry, the ginger, and the cinnamon stick. So if there's any recipe today that I would love for you all to go out and try right away, it's the elderberry syrup. The next superfood recipe is golden milk. I'm such a fan of golden milk. It tastes so good and it's really pretty. It's a pretty yellow color. This is a milk that is rooted in Ayurvedic practices. In case you haven't heard of Ayurveda before, it is an ancient system of healing that originates in India. And so this drink, golden milk, is also known as turmeric milk and haldi doodh. Oh, I'm seeing a question here from Jody about how long does it last without the alcohol. I will answer that at the end, but thank you so much for the question. And if anyone else has questions, let me know. So this drink is called haldi doodh, and it has amazing properties. So here's what you'll need to make it. You could use an unsweetened milk of your choice. Personally, I prefer coconut milk because it has a higher content of fat, and healthy fats, otherwise known as omegas, are anti-inflammatory, which is very healing to the body. You're going to use turmeric powder, which we used before with the immune shot, ginger powder, which we used as well, cinnamon powder, and also a little bit of black pepper. Black pepper is going to help the turmeric absorb better into the body. You could also add a teaspoon of coconut oil, which is totally optional. That's again for an extra boost of fat. And then you could add a teaspoon of honey or maple syrup or agave. This is completely optional, but I recommend it. I really like it. I feel like it helps the milk taste a lot better because the powders are kind of intense in flavor and it's kind of spicy. So the sweetness will, sort of balance it out. So what you'll do, super simple, you're gonna grab all of the ingredients, put them in a small saucepan or a pot, and bring that to a boil. Then you're gonna reduce the heat and simmer for just about 10 minutes. That's all you need. Then you're gonna strain the drink through a fine strainer just because of, again, all of the powders that are there. You want like a smoother drink. And then if you'd like, you could top with a bit of cinnamon. It looks good and it's an extra dose of healing goodness. So what is this drink good for? It is fantastic for managing inflammation. And because it works on inflammation, it's helpful for pain management as well, especially if you're somebody who has arthritis. This is a drink that could very easily and seamlessly be integrated into your, daily wellness regime to help support your pain management. Also really good for immune support and then digestion. So how to take this. I like to treat golden milk just like a latte, and it's a great replacement for morning coffee, even though it doesn't have caffeine. But if you're somebody who's trying to wean off of coffee and you want something that is warm and nourishing and tasty, golden milk could be your friend. Okay. So a little bit more about the ingredients. We talked about turmeric already and ginger, both for immune support and for mitigating inflammation. And then cinnamon for digestive support, blood sugar management, and some immune support. Black pepper, again, is going to help the absorption of turmeric in the body. Coconut oil is very anti-inflammatory with a high concentration of healthy fats. And then if you want to get a little fancier with this, you could add other ingredients. So sometimes I like to add the spice called star anise. It's very, very spicy, or something called vanilla essence for kind of the sweeter flavor to it. I feel like it tastes really good. So my question for you all is, so this, the golden milk and the herbal immune shot have pretty much identical ingredients. So I'm curious, which one would you prefer, the shot or the golden milk? I think I would prefer the golden milk. The next recipe is what I call an Ayurvedic digestif, but the correct term for it is CCFT. And you'll see that the CCF refers to the ingredients in the tea. CC stands for cumin and coriander, and F stands for fennel. So here's what you'll need. Cumin, coriander, fennel, which you could get at the grocery store or maybe at a local herb shop or even online. A few cups of water and a spoon of honey, which is pretty much always optional, but very, very helpful for taste because this could be kind of strong flavored. What you'll do, you'll prepare this just like you would any other tea. We call this a decoction in herbal medicine. So what you'll do is heat the water in a pot, put the pot over high heat, add the herbal seeds, allow the tea to boil for about 10 minutes. This will help the seeds, open up and release their healing constituents. And then you're going to strain out the seeds and serve the tea. So what is this good for? This is great for digestion. And in the system of Ayurveda, this drink is known to stimulate something called Agni, which is a word for digestive fire, because in that system of healing, the digestive system needs fire in order to burn through nutrients so that those nutrients could be absorbed into the body for our healing purposes. And this drink is also really helpful for immune support. So how to take this? Definitely as a tea. You're also welcome to have it as an iced tea. So what you would do is let the tea cool down and then maybe add some ice to it. When to take this? So it's really up to you. Personally, I like to take this after a larger meal because it helps me digest the food. But you're also welcome to take the CCF tea on an empty stomach first thing in the morning before your first meal, just to again stimulate that Agni, that digestive fire. So once again, this is a big staple in Ayurvedic medicine, both for digestion and also in cleansing protocols. So if you're somebody who's going to do, a mini cleanse, you feel like you want to detox a little bit, this would be a great drink to add to your regimen. And according to Ayurveda, this drink helps the body break down toxins and digest foods better. So I wanted to talk just a little bit of Ayurveda. This, of course, could be its own workshop. Ayurveda is an amazing system of medicine. I didn't study it too much in school, but I did take a couple of classes and I have worked with Ayurvedic practitioners. And so I wanted to share that Ayurveda classifies people into three main, what they call doshas. So it's a categorical system. And those three doshas include kapha, pitta, and vata. Again, it's a complex and detailed diagnostic process, but this is a basic overview. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about each of the doshas and maybe get a sense of whether you see yourself in either of these doshas. So kapha is the earth principle. I happen to be a kapha through and through. So kapha people generally have larger frames, high stamina, really great sleep and digestion. Also, hair, skin, nails kind of grow abundantly and very easily and have this calm energy and soothing presence to them. With each of these doshas, today I'm going to read to you more of the neutral overview, but the idea with Ayurveda is that you could either have too much of a dosha or too little, and that imbalance could lead to health problems. So with each of these, just know that there's, good and bad. There's a balance to it. So that's kapha. The next one is pitta, which is the fire principle. So pitta people tend to be a bit more slender in frame. They're known for being intelligent, hardworking, short-tempered, decisive, disciplined, ambitious, kind of like New Yorker vibes in a way. And then the last one that I want to talk about, the dosha, is vata, and that is the principle of air. So these folks tend to be thin. They're known for being creative, energetic. I have moody written down, but let's just say emotionally diverse, enthusiastic, spiritual, multitaskers on the go, also kind of New York vibes. And so the idea with Ayurveda is that you eat and live according to your archetype so you could achieve optimal balance. So I thought that was really cool and I wanted to share that with you. So my question is, have you heard of Ayurveda before? And based off of my brief summary, which dosha do you think that you are? Okay, so back to the drink. This drink is so special because in Ayurveda, all of the constitutional types that I just shared with you, so Kapha, Pitta, and Vata, can drink this, because in that system of medicine, depending on your constitutions, you might eat or drink certain things that the other constitution won't. So the beautiful thing about this drink is that everybody could drink it and gain benefits. So I think that's really cool. So let's dive into the ingredients. The first one is cumin. So cumin is really helpful for decreasing gas, helping with indigestion, relieving congestion in the body. It has high levels of antioxidants and iron, and it's known for soothing inflamed mucous membranes and improving elimination. Coriander also improves digestion and relieves gas. It supports the digestive process. So if you're somebody who has indigestion, coriander is a fantastic plant for you. It's also known for calming muscle spasms and reducing inflammation. And in Ayurveda, it's used to help with arthritis. So another good drink for arthritis, in addition to the golden milk. And then there is fennel. Fennel is fantastic for cramping. One cool fact is that it helps to stimulate breast milk flow. It helps to relax the digestive tract. So if you're somebody who has upset stomach, fennel could be your friend. And just like cumin and coriander, it'll help with gas and indigestion. And then fennel in Ayurveda is used for burning fat, so very helpful for weight loss. So this is CCFT. The next recipe is a matcha latte. So with this one, I got a little bit fancier. You could definitely just have matcha, but I wanted to make it a superfood matcha latte for you all. And what you'll need is half a cup of your preferred milk. I personally prefer coconut milk once again, but any one that you'd like is perfectly fine. Some water, some ice if you'd like to make this iced, some high grade, or what we call ceremonial grade, matcha powder. And then the optional powders to make this a superfood are spirulina, moringa, and maca. And then once again, as always, if you want to make this a bit tastier, a bit sweeter, then you could add in some honey, maple syrup, agave, or stevia. Stevia is fantastic. So what you'll do is bring some water to a boil, and then you're going to mix the hot water with the matcha powder. If you would like to add the optional superfood powders, this would be the great place to do that. So mix everything really well. And then if you would like this drink to be iced, then add the ice. Then on top of the ice and the blended powders and the water, you're going to add your milk of choice and then your optional sweetener. And then you're just going to blend the mix until it is even. What is this good for? So matcha is basically like a supercharged green tea. So it's really good at increasing energy, and it gives you a nice metabolism boost. How to take this? Take it just like any other beverage, and you could choose between having it be hot or iced. And I like to think of it as a coffee replacement, even though it is so much more than that, which I will get to in a second. But if you're somebody who's trying to wean off of coffee or try other alternatives, matcha is fantastic. And a lot of people who drink matcha find that their energy lasts really beautifully throughout the day. It doesn't give you the sort of spikes that coffee can give you. It just kind of sustains your energy for a longer period of time. And personally, that's how I feel about matcha too. So I'm a big fan. When to take this? In the morning. Just like coffee, we recommend not drinking it after 2 p.m. because there is a chance that that extra caffeine, may impact your sleep. So best to take this in the daytime. So a little bit more about matcha. Matcha is an incredible plant, and it goes all the way back to China. And it's been a really big part of Japanese culture for over 800 years. And the story goes that a Buddhist monk brought it to Japan from China because he noticed that the matcha induced a state of what he called calm alertness. And I think that is so beautiful because it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about the differences between matcha and coffee. Coffee gives us that spike, that big boost. We feel great, and then sometimes we feel a little bit of a crash. But matcha is really beautiful because it's just a bit more even. So I love that phrase, calm alertness. So matcha is used in Japanese tea ceremonies known as chado. Matcha is extremely rich in antioxidants, specifically something called EGCG. Studies have shown that EGCG has cancer-fighting properties. It supports heart health. It is liver protective. It lowers cholesterol. It supports diabetes management. And perhaps the most popular reason is that it is a metabolism booster that could help with weight loss. So matcha is really beautiful for enhancing focus, improving cognitive function, and enhancing memory. So once again, the extra ingredients, those powders, are completely optional, but they do have some superfood benefits that I would like to highlight. So spirulina is this beautiful plant from the ocean that is extremely rich in all types of nutrients and vitamins. I will warn you though, it has a little bit of like a funky, fishy taste to it, but you get used to it and you learn to love it. Maca is one of my favorite powders, especially for my female patients who are wanting to increase libido or enhance their fertility. And some studies have shown that maca is also helpful for easing the menopausal transition as well. So very helpful for females who are in various stages of their life. So it is a master hormone balancer. It helps to improve mood and it also relieves stress. And then the last superfood powder that's optional is moringa powder. Moringa is so special to me because if you came to my first workshop, you'll recall I shared that I'm half Haitian, half Ghanaian, and moringa grows like wild in Haiti. We eat it in so many of our dishes. And I think it's really cool that it's become this, mega superfood over the years. It's something that I just think is a sweet fact. So moringa is this beautiful multivitamin and protein-rich food. It has so much protein in it. It's really high in vitamins A, C, E, K, the B vitamins, iron, calcium, etc. Rich in antioxidant, and it also lowers blood sugar. So my question to you is, are you more of a hot beverage person or an iced beverage person? Does it depend on the weather? And how would you drink this matcha? Would you have it hot or iced? Personally, I always run hot, so I would probably have it iced, but on a cold day, warm is always sweet. The next superfood is cacao. Love cacao so much. I have a very deep and personal relationship to cacao because last year I did some travels to Mexico, which I'll share with you about in a little bit. It is a very deeply rooted indigenous Amazonian plant that has so many healing properties. But first, I'm going to talk about it within the context of being an amazing beverage to support your wellness. So what you'll need for a cacao elixir is some cacao powder. Like everything, you could make it stronger or weaker depending on your desired strength or your preferred taste. Personally, I tend to like things to be a little bit stronger, but that's up to you to play around with. You could use 1 cup of your milk of choice, but ideally it'll be unsweetened just so you could really soak in the flavor of the other ingredients. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a tablespoon of agave syrup if you'd like, and a teaspoon of vanilla, and then a little bit of a dash of red pepper. What you'll do is combine the milk, the cacao powder, and the cinnamon into a small saucepan over medium heat. And it's really important here to whisk the mixture occasionally just to make sure that the mixture is smooth. You want everything to be smooth because cacao sometimes has a hard time distributing evenly. It'll sort of clump up, so make sure to whisk it properly. And then once you remove from the heat, you could add in the agave and the vanilla. So what is cacao good for? It is so good for enhancing energy. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful heart tonic, not just for the physical heart, but also the heart chakra, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And it is mood boosting. So if you're somebody who occasionally has a depressed mood, you're feeling down and blue and you want something that's kind of lift up your spirits, then cacao is your friend. How to take this? You could take this as a warm beverage, ideally, just like a coffee, a tea, or matcha, which I just talked about. And then when to take this? Truly, you could take this at any time of the day, but I personally prefer it in the morning or just sometime in the afternoon because it does have some caffeine in it. And personally, I'm a little bit sensitive to caffeine, but truthfully, you could have it whenever you'd like. So cacao, again, is heart medicine. When you think of cacao, think of the heart. It is rich in a compound called theobromine. This compound is also in chocolate because chocolate, of course, comes from cacao. I'm not sure if you knew that. But theobromine supports heart health, improves brain function, it relieves depression, and it's thought to strengthen the heart chakra. So that's the energy in the heart space. The difference between cacao and the chocolate that most of us know and love is that cacao is a raw and unprocessed, unsweetened version of cocoa or chocolate. So this means that it's a lot more bitter, but it's richer in all of the minerals and vitamins because it is unprocessed. So once again, cacao is so special to me. I studied it last year in the mountains of Mexico with two indigenous leaders, an Aztec healer and a Mayan healer who are both now dear friends of mine. We went to a town called Tepoztlan, about 2 hours outside of Mexico City. So cacao is an ancient, revered heart medicine that originated in the Amazon, but has spread to many other South American cultures. And now it's spread really beautifully all over the world. So in Nahuatl, which is the language of the Aztec healer I studied under, the name of cacao is Chocatl. I thought that's really interesting because it sounds like chocolate, right? And then in Mayan, it's known as cacao, Kakaw. So similar pronunciation, but totally different spelling. So I think language is really interesting and how things shift over time. And once again, cacao is so special to many indigenous communities and has been for such a long time. I wanted to make note that the recipe that I'm sharing with you all today is a much more simplified version. The process is simple, the recipe is simple, and that's intentional. When you're making sort of ceremonial cacao and preparing it the indigenous way, it's a very detailed and a very long process with very, very specific, spices, and we use chili peppers and even use cornmeal to thicken it up. But once again, I wanted to keep this super simple for you today. There's so much more I could share about cacao, and maybe I will at a future workshop, but I want to emphasize that cacao is so much more than a coffee replacement similar to matcha. But it can absolutely replace coffee. Cacao has about half of the amount of caffeine, but so many more benefits in my humble opinion. So now that I've covered quite a few hot beverages, so the golden milk, the CCFT, the matcha, and now the cacao, I'm curious which one speaks to you and why. And I'm seeing a comment from Patricia that you love cacao. Super cool. I love cacao as well. Okay. The next recipe is a calming summer herbal nightcap. And so we're kind of moving into like mocktail territory now, which I thought would be kind of fun. And I've given you a ton of hot ingredients. So I wanted to pivot into cooler recipes now that it is getting warmer. So what you'll need is some boiling water, some sparkling water, and 3 tablespoons of chamomile, lemon balm, lavender, and or passion flower. I tend to be a bit of a maximalist, so personally I would use all of these, but you are welcome to use one or few or as many as you would like. Then you could add in some stevia drops or the sweetener of your choice just to make this tasty. And then a few cubes of ice or some frozen berries, which are helpful for taste, also antioxidants, and also for Instagram pictures if you want to show your friends that you could make pretty herbal drinks. Where you would get these herbs, so once again, at a local grocery store or an herb shop or online. Amazon is always cool. I really like Mountain Rose Botanicals as well. So how to prepare this nightcap. You're going to prepare your sparkling water by putting it in a cup. And then you're basically going to make a tea with the herbs. So you're going to bring the hot water to boil in a pot. You're going to add the herbs of choice. You're going to bring the water to a boil and then steep for about 10 minutes. This is called an infusion in herbal medicine. And then you're going to turn the heat off and you're going to let the tea cool for at least 10 minutes. Realistically, you'll need more time for it to get even cooler, but 10 minutes is a start. Then you're going to strain the herbs. And then you're going to add that tea to some sparkling water. Feel free to let this mix cool as much as you need in order to make it manageable in the summer heat. But what you're going to do to make it cooler faster is add ice, or again, those frozen berries. So apart from being pretty and tasting good, this drink is phenomenal for anxiety relief, digestion, and stress management. How you're going to take this is as a cooling beverage. This could easily replace, juice or soda or a cocktail and give you a ton of healing benefits instead. And when to take this, anytime is perfectly fine. I think if you're going to make this a lot stronger and put in, a lot more ingredients, then maybe take it closer to the evening time because it might make you so relaxed that you want to sleep. Okay. So I want to talk to you about each of the herbs. Each of them are really different, but they have a lot of similarities. So in general, they're all good for stress management and digestion, but each one is a little different. And I also wanted to make a little caveat. You know how at the beginning of the workshop, I said that if there's any, recipe I'd want you to try right away, it's the elderberry. So this is a plug for that because you could easily put some elderberry syrup in this nightcap as well. And it'll taste so good and have an extra immune boost from the elderberry. So chamomile is phenomenal. It's probably the one on this list that you are most familiar with. It helps to induce sleepiness. It's really great for digestion, for gas and bloating, and for relieving anxiety. Lemon balm, which is one of my favorite herbs, helps to relieve anxiety and improve your mood. It's a really fantastic herb for stress. It's also great for immune support. It is a very powerful antiviral. And then there's lavender, which we know and love. And if you are a gardener like me, you probably have some lavender in your backyard. So lavender is phenomenal for relieving nervous tension, for supporting anxiety and stress relief, and for promoting a deeper sleep. And then lastly, we have passion flower. Passion flower, similarly to cacao, is a really beautiful heart chakra herb, and also helps with the physical heart by decreasing blood pressure. Passion flower, similar to all the other herbs, is nourishing to the nervous system, and it helps to decrease muscle spasms and muscle tension. So love this drink. And my question to you is, where can you imagine yourself sipping this? I see. Hi, Eve, Jessie Day. I also like cacao. Awesome. Perfect for the summer. Beautiful. All right, everybody. So now the last recipe is a kava mocktail. This is supposed to be a margarita mocktail. I'm going to leave it up to you when you actually make it and taste it to decide whether it's margarita inspired. But that is the intention. My question to you before we start is, have you ever heard of kava before? So here's what you'll need for the kava mocktail. Kava liquid extract, otherwise known as a tincture, a cup of distilled water or sparkling water, a tablespoon of ginger syrup, or again, a plug for the elderberry syrup. You could use the elderberry syrup instead of the ginger syrup or in addition to. About an ounce of fresh lime juice, agave for sweetness, and then just a pinch of Himalayan salt. Where to get kava extract from? Definitely online. And my favorite company that does it right now is Herb Farm. fun fact, I apprenticed with Herb Farm back in Southern Oregon. They have a beautiful land where I learned about herbal medicine growing directly from the earth. It was a beautiful experience. So back to the mocktail, what you'll do, you'll place 2 dropperfuls of the kava extract into a cup of distilled water or sparkling water, it's your choice. And then you're just going to mix all of the other ingredients into a blender until they are evenly blended, just like a cocktail. And then you'll serve it over ice. Very simple. What is this good for? So really good for stress relief. Kava is a very strong muscle relaxant, like very, very strong. It works very well. And it's really helpful for sleep support. So this is one that you definitely want to have in the evening because it'll probably help you fall asleep better. And how to take this, again, as a cocktail replacement. And you want to limit maybe to about 2 drinks max because kava is quite strong. So let me tell you a bit more about kava. I hadn't heard about kava until I went to naturopathic med school and tried it for the first time. I will never forget in herbal medicine class when my partner in the class, placed it on my tongue and my tongue went numb. And I was like, what is going on here? And then a few minutes later, I just felt so relaxed, almost like drowsy. And we learned that it's because kava is a hypnotic. Sounds very intense and can be intense if you take a lot of it, but in smaller doses, all kava does is, induce a beautiful state of calm. So kava is a plant that is native to the South Pacific Islands. The name in Latin is Piper methysticum, and kava means intoxicating in the Tongan language, which is where kava grows. And then the word kava actually means bitter. So the active component of kava is something called a kava lactone. So that's what gives it its amazing effect. And I don't know if you've heard of kava bars before, but they are popping up all over. There's at least 1 or 2 here in New York City. And I believe they're getting popular because people are wanting natural alternatives. We're diving into a more holistic lifestyle collectively. And perhaps more importantly, kava could be a really healing herb for people who are transitioning from alcohol use or other types of substances as well. So very, very powerful herb. So once again, kava is hypnotic and a sedative. It induces a very mild state of euphoria and calm. It's legal, by the way, or else I wouldn't be talking about this. It is a muscle relaxant. Again, it can create a numbing effect on the tongue, so don't get freaked out. If that happens to you, it's totally normal. You want to take this before bed or when you're feeling like really overstimulated and you want a relatively quick way to come down. It's helpful for nervous tension, restless leg syndrome, and pain. I do want to make a really important note with kava. Studies have shown that too much kava can actually impact the liver, so much so that your liver enzymes, AST and ALT for the most part in your blood work, may actually elevate. But that's only if you're taking kava for a prolonged period of time and at a very high dosage. So some studies say, the limit is about 8 to 9 grams per day. That is nowhere near the amount of kava in a kava mocktail. But if you want to be on the safer side, again, maybe having 1 or 2 drinks a week, you'll be perfectly fine. And so that's kava. This is a very tasty drink, if I do say so myself. So give it a go. And that is it, friends. Thank you so much for your time, your presence, and your attention. I'm going to check the questions now and answer as many as I can. Here's my information on the screen in case you would like to connect. A few of you wrote to me after the last workshop, and it's been nice corresponding a bit. So if you'd like to chat with me, ask any questions kind of more in a private capacity, you're welcome to message me. And let's take a look at the comments. So Jody, you asked, how long does it last without the alcohol? I'm going to assume, unless you want to hop on here and clarify, I'm assuming it's the elderberry syrup because that's the only one that has alcohol, if I believe. So without, okay, thank you. Yep. All right, so the elderberry syrup, got it. We are aligned. Without the preservatives, I think you should be fine for a couple of weeks, honestly, maybe even a month, I would say. So yeah, I think that should be fine with elderberry. I haven't ever tried it without the preservative, but going based off of the ingredients, yeah, I would say a couple of weeks to the month. Yeah. And then somebody asked, Jessie Day asked, what is hibiscus used for? I'm not sure that I talked about hibiscus in here, but happy to share about hibiscus because it is one of my favorite plants ever. Also grows like wild where my family is from in Haiti. And hibiscus is phenomenal for heart health. It could help with high blood pressure and high cholesterol as well. So it's a beautiful plant, one of my favorites. It's also really high in vitamin C. So really amazing herb. I always think about one of my patients who loves hibiscus because it has a very rich, sort of sweet with a hint of sour taste to it. And if you put hibiscus in anything, it makes the beverage this rich red color. So very beautiful. I hope that was helpful. And then Elizabeth, can we get copies of the recipes? I'm happy to share the recipes. I'm not sure how QPL and I will do that, but I'm more than happy to share that. I could also do a quick run through in case you want to take a screenshot of the slides. So let me do that really quickly. I'll spend a couple of seconds on each slide to give everyone enough time to take a screenshot. And then if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to drop them by. And if you miss the opportunity to take a screenshot, just leave a comment and I will go back so you could have another chance. All right, I think we are all set. Thank you all again for your time. If QPL, you want to hop on here?
Thank you so much, Dr. Nayika. I do want to say, that was so much information and it's so great. And, with all that information, we really are so glad to have you and provide this education for us. I do want to say that the information is not meant to, replace treatment or diagnosis or anything with what you may be taking already with your doctor. So please speak with your doctor or physician if you are taking some sort of medication. But, we really love the information and we'll see you next time at our next Wellness Wednesdays. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.